assists, lifting the Detroit Pistons to a 115-106 win over the New York Knicks on Thursday night in a possible preview of the first round 3 versus 6 in the NBA playoffs. New York was without starters OG Anunoby and Josh Hart due to injuries, and they failed to clinch that 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. Now, ESPN Analytics gives the Knicks a 64% chance to face the Pistons in the first round, a team they've struggled against this season. They've lost 3 of 4. They might prefer the Bucks, who they've beaten 3 times and have a 36% chance of facing. David, should the Knicks be worried about a first-round exit?
Yeah, they absolutely should. This Detroit Pistons is built to compete with this New York Knicks team. I think if you have these two teams in the playoffs, the best player on both teams is in Detroit. Cade Cunningham has dominated the Knicks on these last 3 games, averaging about 34 points. They have no answer for him. Last night, I know some of their defensive wings were out. They had no answer for Cade Cunningham. He had total control of that offense. Add in the way they play defensively. They've been a top 5 or so defense since the All-Star break. They are built with the toughness, with Cade Cunningham scoring to give this Knicks team trouble. And even beyond that, even if the Knicks get past Detroit, Detroit's going to take a bite out of that tail, and this is going to be a long series, which is you do not want if you're the Knicks and you want a chance to beat or even compete with Boston in that second round, because they are going to be tired coming out of that series. The Detroit Pistons create a real problem for this Knicks team in the playoffs.
I'm worried about the Knicks, and I agree with everything David just said. And I'm going to add a little bit more. What are the Knicks doing at this point? Why do I ask that question? You're facing against you're going against a Detroit Pistons team that you're probably most likely going to see in the postseason. And all of a sudden, you don't have Josh Hart or OG Anunoby. This is the time of the year that veteran squads or quote-unquote title contenders like to send a message, right? Like to send so this team could have doubt. This Detroit Pistons teams, they have confidence. Cade Cunningham, he has confidence when they do match up in the postseason. Here's another thing I'm gonna say: the New York Knicks don't have the belief. They hadn't beat the Cavs or the Celtics this season, and we're looking around the league right now. We just witnessed Taylor Jenkins get fired from the Memphis Grizzlies. We just watched Michael Malone get fired from the Denver Nuggets. Tom Thibodeau is on the hot seat. Tom Thibodeau is on the hot seat. You don't give up the mansion to bring back Mikal Bridges. I believe they gave up 4 or 5, picks or whatever the case may be. You don't give up all that just to get to the season, get 50 wins, and possibly get put out in the second round. No, you give up that to get Mikal Bridges and bring in Karl-Anthony Towns to, at minimum, get to the conference finals. And I'm looking at the Knicks right now with all they went throughout the course of this season. We saw the back and forth between Mikal Bridges and Tom Thibodeau, right? Like, all of this is happening with coaches being fired. Tom Thibodeau better step it up, or I believe if the Knicks don't make it to the conference finals, they're going to be looking in a different direction when it comes down to who's going to be their next head coach.
I'm so glad you said this, because it's a conversation like, hug a Knicks fan today. Coming off the loss to the Detroit Pistons last night, just put your arm around them, because they've shown they cannot beat the best teams in the NBA. And I'm not saying that the Pistons are the same category as Oklahoma City, who they're 0-2 to, who against the Cleveland Cavaliers, they played a night. They're 0-3 to them. And then, of course, we saw they got swept by the Boston Celtics earlier this week, 0-4 against them this season. When has the bar been so low for New York basketball? Like, how are we continuing to do this? They've won 2 playoff series 1 time since 2000. The bar is on the ground. And if a championship coach like Michael Malone can get fired after 2 seasons, if Taylor Jenkins, the winningest coach in the history of the Memphis Grizzlies organization, can get fired with 11 games to go in the regular season, who's to say that Tom Thibodeau should feel safe by any stretch? They gave up 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. And on that inbounds play against the Celtics the other night going to overtime, what happens? The ball bonks off his head. That is the summation of the Knicks in an absolute nutshell this year, and it's so frustrating to watch because this team swapped out Julius Randle for Karl Anthony Towns. We were told they were supposed to be so much better. For a stretch, we actually believed that they could because they felt like a different version of themselves. Yet this team has shown that they are undisciplined. They've shown that they fold to the best teams in the league. If that is your MO, yes, you absolutely can get bounced from the first round of the playoffs by a Detroit team that's going to bring that physicality the same way that they did last night. Yes, I know that the Knicks were missing a couple of players. Those players should play tonight to be able to get that negative taste, that bad taste out of your mouth when you're playing Cleveland, to go into the postseason with a little bit of pride, because this team has just squandered all expectations when they were one of the darlings of the offseason last year. And it's frustrating. I feel bad for Knicks fans that you have to continuously go through this year after year after year thinking it's going to be different when it's not.
We spent all this time talking about Tom Thibodeau, talking about Bridges. We haven't mentioned Karl Anthony Towns yet, which should bear a little bit of responsibility for what's going on with this Knicks team. This team goes as Karl Anthony Towns goes. And when you're looking at the best teams in the league in those games, Boston and Cleveland, he did not show up until this last time they played Boston. The only reason they had a shot was because he played big in those games. And this last game. Before then, he was averaging less than 20 points against the best teams in the league. Karl Anthony Towns was the guy who was brought into this Knicks team to get them over the hump and to the Eastern Conference Championship at the very least, and maybe a championship run. And what I saw and what I have seen against these aggressive bigs against Detroit, Karl Anthony Towns did not really come on until that fourth quarter. He's got to be the guy that has to be the difference maker in the playoffs for them to have a shot. Right now, we can talk about Tibbs and Bridges, but if Karl Anthony Towns does not go out there and give me 30 and 10, 30 and 15 on a given night in these crunch time performances, then the Knicks don't have a chance of going anywhere this season.
It's just so embarrassing that we talk about, like, I still bring up that Boston game from the other night. We talk about, but they showed signs of being competitive. Look how hard they played. That sounds like that's where the bar is. You were competitive in a loss? Like, when you haven't beaten the team at all this season? Like, how is that a measure for success?
I agree. And I don't want to hear about the rumors of, the Knicks may go after Kevin Durant this offseason. I don't want to hear that. You got Karl Anthony Towns. You have big body Brunson, right? Jalen Brunson, who before he was injured, a guy that we possibly could say top 5 MVP conversation. He's their guy, but I don't know if he's fully healthy. So you're right, David. Karl Anthony Towns, he do have to elevate his game even more, right? They brought him in because they figured he was a better fit, better than Julius Randle. But I will say this. I will give Karl Anthony Towns the benefit of the doubt by saying this. Before Jalen Brunson went out, those two guys were one of the best pick and roll duos in the game of basketball. They just have to get their rhythm back. The problem is that they don't have time. They don't have time. So yes, I have to put ownership on Tom Thibodeau. Here's another reason why. I've been begging and pleading all season long about Tom Thibodeau challenging Karl Anthony Towns defensively. Tom Thibodeau just might be the only coach in the NBA that still have his bigs in drop coverages. Cade Cunningham was feasting last night in the drop coverage. Jason Tatum, he feasts on Karl Anthony Towns in the drop coverage. At some point, you have to challenge him to switch pick and rolls and move his feet. I was challenged at one point in my career to switch out on a Tony Parker, a Manu Ginobili, in the Western Conference Finals to defend. Karl Anthony Towns is way more athletic than me. Tom Thibodeau, get out of your ways. Challenge him. It's a new day. 2025. Bigs are switching pick and rolls.
There may be a summer conversation of did the Knicks lean too far into the Nova Knicks. You could see it coming. Courtney asked for it, by the way. Russ, our resident Knicks fan, he wants a hug. He wants a hug.
Hug a Knicks fan today.
Hug a Knicks fan. That's Courtney starting a trend. Hug a Knicks fan.
It's going to be okay. He's going to the game.
Mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình ngày hôm nay. Mình sẽ tiếp tục hướng dẫn các bạn làm vòng. Và hôm nay của mình sẽ có tiêu đề